You were talking about your 1-2 football team earlier in the break. Well, that's better than the fans around here with an 0-3 team. Talking about the Steelers and the Colts, both with higher expectations. The Steelers, of course, higher expectations than 1-2, certainly to start off, and certainly to see the Bengals be the team that beat them and to be leading that division right now. I'm like, I can't believe that that's what I'm looking at.
Yeah, the Steelers are struggling with their offensive line at a really high level. 2 rookies out of their 5 starters on the offensive line, and it is not working well. I don't know how much longer that's going to last. A lot of it depends on whether Zach Banner, who began last year as the team's starting right tackle and then was injured in the first game and hasn't played since. I don't know how soon he returns to health. If he does, that might help them, but they've got real problems on the offensive line. The interesting thing, of course, is the Colts, a lot of their problems are offensive line as well, but it's more injury related, not so much talent related. That, the Steelers, I think, expected to be able to hang in while their offensive line built itself into competence, but they've had injuries on defense that have been devastating. I think that's the part of how the NFL season develops that's most overlooked, misunderstood. How 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 injuries can really devastate a team trying to build momentum. And there are a lot of conclusions reached early in a season, and sometimes they're a bit overwrought. I mean, we've seen teams come back. I mean, I will tell you this is true. I wrote in November, I think, of last year. It might even have been December, that I just didn't think Tom Brady had it anymore after they got skunked. I don't know, maybe it was the Cowboys. I can't remember exactly who on a Sunday night game. And I wrote, it just doesn't have it anymore, and it's not going to happen. And then they didn't lose after I wrote that. So I'm getting ready to write a Ben Roethlisberger column.
Yeah, I thought you might be.
There's always a chance, right?
I thought you might be. Just why not? What the heck? What do you got to lose?
Yeah, I mean, I figure that if I can have that magic touch with Tom Brady, maybe. No, that's not why I'm writing it. I see things in Ben right now that are indicative of a player who just doesn't have the ability to excel. Now, can they win with him? Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, you could, like, if the Vikings can win a game with Kirk Cousins, I mean, they can win with him, but they can't win because of him any longer.
How old has Ben? I can't remember.
That's a problem.
How old is Roethlisberger?
39.
And let's be honest, he hasn't exactly been on the TB12 diet for the last 12 years.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. During the summer, everybody was saying that he looked in so much better shape and all that. And then I saw him, and I'm like, nah, he looks about the same to me. I'm not saying, like, everybody in the world can't beat Tom Brady, and even Tom Brady wasn't Tom Brady for 3/4 of last year. So I don't know. We'll see whether or not there's anything left there. But there are problems in the way he's playing right now that are suggestive of a player who can't find his way back.
What are those famous sandwiches in Pittsburgh? The big
Permanis brothers. Yes.
Maybe
yes,
Ben's
I've been there many times, as you might be able to. As you might have guessed, I've been there many, many times.
The Colts are 0-3, and their season is basically almost over because only 6 teams, I think, in the history of the NFL have started out 0-3 and made the playoffs.
That's true. That's true, Jim. And I'm not saying that that's going to turn around, but I remember that those stats are all based on a 16-game season. So we don't have it. We don't have any frame of reference. We have no database on a 17-game season. I remember a couple of weeks ago, after the Steelers beat Buffalo, knowing that was cool, but there's an extra game now. So did it even happen, so to speak? Like you had 30 years or 40 years of math in your head of what one win meant relative to the season. And that math is now off a little bit. And so I don't think that the fact that 0-3 or whatever, I don't think it matters now because there's an extra game for you to get it back. I'm not sure they're getting back from 0-4. So I think it might be wise to win this Sunday.
Well, no question. And I think if it was an 0-3 team that had even a Ben Roethlisberger, but they don't even have that. It's so they're even more wishy-washy at quarterback than the 1-2 Steelers. So that's why at 0-3, I'm like, it does not look good for the Colts sitting at 0-3 now with you don't even know what team you're going to have for the next 14 games that you have left.
When I say that, I mean that's based on the idea that Wentz has to get healthy and good fast, and I don't know whether either of those two is likely, but I do think that it is important to remember that we're in a different era now. That 16 team math worked for 40 years, and before that, of course, it was 14, and 17 does make a difference. That's a lot of games, and there's going to be a lot of this, and the NFL media is going to tell you, no, it's all this. It's never really been like that, but it more now than ever. There are going to be ups and downs because the expansion of the season, the playoff field, it's just different now, and I don't. It's really cool for the teams that are 3-0, Denver, whoever else. Carolina, but do we really think that because they're 3-0, they've got it all figured out? I don't think so. I think they're in better shape because that's one less win they have to worry about than the teams that are 2-1 or the two that the teams are 1-2. But it just can't. There's no way it's everything now that they've expanded the schedule.
Hey, all it took was for Sam Darnold to leave the Jets to realize his potential, right? It's like unbelievable how he's looked so far.
I liked him in college. I saw him in person against Notre Dame up in South Bend, probably his junior season. I don't remember exactly what year, but I liked him. I liked his toughness. I liked his tenacity in his arm. I thought he was a good prospect. And there was a part of me that wanted the Steelers to see what it would cost to bring him in to succeed Roethlisberger. I don't think they could have afforded it. But I've always liked him. And the Jets went on the wrong road when they hired Adam Gase. There was nothing. It's not like they hired somebody who'd been wildly successful and then he just started to or took a chance on somebody and he was not good. He had been at Miami. He had a track record. It was a bad track record, and they still hired him. So they kind of deserve to an extent where they are now. And now it's up to, current group to figure out how to get out of that hole.
Yeah. And Jim, it's interesting, you were talking about the Colts. For as much tread on the tires as he has, I think they missed T.Y. a little bit. And it's kind of funny because every year we hear about some of these receivers, Pittman and Campbell, and I have this expression where I refer to the Great Pumpkin, right? Charlie Brown. Like we keep waiting for these guys to develop. And to me, like Paris Campbell is like the Great Pumpkin. We keep hearing about how great he is in training camp, and you go to a game and he has like one catch for 8 yards,
That's a great point. I like that. That Great Pumpkin. That's a good analogy. That's not one I've heard before.
Perfect timing of the year too.